Good morning and welcome to 101010 at Poets House, the poetry library in downtown New York City. Poets House is the place for poetry, poets, and all things verse. I'm Dave Johnson, poet and playwright, and your host of 101010, where we invite you at 10 a.m. on weekdays for 10 minutes to write a new poem. And in 10 days, you'll have 10 new poems. This morning on 101010, here at Poets House, we're going to discuss the work of poet Lee Young Lee. This is his book called Book of My Nights, and we're going to read a poem called I Ask My Mother to Sing. I ask my mother to sing. She begins, and my grandmother joins her. Mother and daughter sing like young girls. If my father were alive, he would play his accordion and sway like a boat. I've never been in Peking or the Summer Palace, nor stood on the great stone boat to watch the rain begin on Kunming Lake, the picnickers running away in the grass. But I love to hear it sung, how the water lilies fill with rain until they overturn, spilling water into water, then rock back and fill with more. Both women have begun to cry, but neither stops their song. Lee Young Lee. I ask my mother to sing. One of the brilliant poems about this piece is the way he moves from the title right into the poem. I ask my mother to sing. And that creates the expectation for the reader, for the listener to say, what's going to happen? The speaker asked the mother to sing. Is she going to do it? Is she going to refuse? And he opens up that opening line. She begins. And my grandmother joins her. Mother and daughter sing like young girls. And then he introduces the father. If my father were alive, he would play his accordion and sway like a boat. I've never been in Peking or the Summer Palace, nor stood on the great stone boat to watch the rain begin on Kunming Lake, the picnickers running away in the grass. Right? The scene that's being painted in the song, he's never experienced it firsthand. But he goes on in that third stanza to say, but I love to hear it sung, how the water lilies fill with rain until they overturn, spilling water into water, then rock back and fill with more. Both women have begun to cry, but neither stops her song. Right? It's a beautiful poem. What I'm going to ask you to do today is to take this opening title, which is very much like an opening line that drives us right into the poem, and I want you to try that same technique today. I want you to ask someone to do something in your opening title. And you could create this. Maybe it really happened to you, or maybe it's something that you just create in the moment. You know, I ask my father to dance. I ask my sister to bake a cake. I ask my dog to bring the paper, right? Whatever it happens to be. You decide what you want it to be, and you write the poem, and then you share it with us at the address on the screen. So we're going to go write this poem now and see what we can come up with. Okay, so we read Lee Young Lee's poem, I Ask My Mother to Sing, and now we're going to write our own poem, right? Beginning with that same kind of opening line, right? I ask someone to do something, right? It can be anything. As I said, it could be I ask my father to dance, or I ask my sister to bake a cake, or ask my dog to get the paper, right? So let's see what we're going to do. I'm going to write just a few lines of my poem, and then I'm going to turn you loose to you write your own poem, right, that begins in that same way. So I'm going to start, I Ask my Father for advice. Ooh, see where this is going to take us. I asked my Father for advice. He taps. He taps his foot on the kitchen floor and quotes a verse from the Bible. At the same time, he takes a long look out the window. He takes a long look out the window and I know he sees my grandfather. When he was a boy. All right, see what we got here. This is off the cuff here, right? I ask my father for advice. He taps his foot on the kitchen floor and quotes a verse from the Bible. At the same time, he takes a long look out the window, and I know he sees my grandfather when he was a boy. All right, we'll see where that goes. Now, I want you to start your poem with the same opening line, I ask, and then you say who and for what, right? Lee Young Lee, I asked my mother to sing. My poem, I asked my father for advice. You write one in that same style and see what you come up with. And if you'd like to share your poem, share it with us at the address on the screen. If you'd like to learn more and read more of Lee Young Lee's poems, we have many volumes of his work right here at Poets House. Lee Young Lee was born to Chinese parents, actually in Indonesia, and he's lived for many years in Chicago. This poem I'm going to share with you today is called Little Father. Little Father, I buried my father in the sky. Since then, the birds clean and comb him every morning and pull the blanket up to his chin every night. I buried my father underground. Since then, my ladders only climb down, and all the earth has become a house, whose rooms are the hours, whose doors stand open at evening, receiving guest after guest. Sometimes I see past them to the tables spread for a wedding feast. I buried my father in my heart. Now he grows in me, my strange son, my little root who won't drink milk, little pale foot sunk in unheard of night, little clock spring newly wet in the fire, little grape, parent to the future, wine, a son, the fruit of his own son, little father, I ransom with my life. Lee Young Lee, Little Father. We'll see you next time right here at 101010 at Poets House.